A woman sat down at my cafe table and said, "Move. I like this spot better." When I refused, she scoffed, "I'll just get the staff to kick you out." Minutes later, the waiter walked over, smiled at me, and said, "Ma'am, we'll need you to leave." The woman smirked until he turned to her and added, "You didn't order anything, so this table isn't yours." Every Tuesday morning, I have a routine. I visit the Green Bean Mobile Café, a cozy coffee spot on wheels stationed at Clarendon Street in Boston. The cafe offers a variety of freshly brewed beverages and light snacks, making it a favorite among locals and passers-by. The baristas know me well, often greeting me by name and remembering my usual order. The familiar aroma of coffee and the friendly atmosphere make it the perfect place to start my day on this particular Tuesday. The sun was shining brightly, and the city was buzzing with energy. I arrived at the cafe around 8:30 a.m. Ordered my usual cappuccino, and found a spot at one of the nearby tables. I set up my laptop, ready to dive into my work. As I was typing away, a woman approached my table. She appeared to be in her mid-40s, dressed in a tailored navy blue suit that screamed professionalism. Her blonde hair was pulled back into a tight bun, and she carried a designer handbag. She exuded an air of confidence and authority. Without any greeting or pleasantries, she stood beside my table and said, "Excuse me, I prefer this spot. Would you mind moving?" I was taken aback by her directness. I looked around and noticed that there were other tables available. I replied politely, "I'm sorry, but I've already settled in here. There are other tables available if you'd like to sit." Her eyes narrowed, and she let out an exasperated sigh. "I come here every day and sit at this table. It's my spot," she insisted. I maintained my composure and responded, "I understand, but as you can see, there are other tables available. I'm comfortable here and would prefer to stay." She huffed and said, "I'll just get the staff to move you." With that, she turned on her heel and marched towards the cafe's counter. I watched as she spoke animatedly to one of the baristas, gesturing in my direction. The barista, Mark, who knew me well, listened patiently and nodded occasionally. After their brief conversation, Mark walked over to my table, with the woman following closely behind. "Ma'am," Mark began, offering me an apologetic smile, "we'll need you to leave." I felt a pang of disbelief. "But I haven't done anything wrong," I protested. Mark's smile widened. "Exactly. You haven't. But this lady hasn't ordered anything, so this table isn't hers." The woman's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of shock. "But I told you," she began. Mark interrupted gently. "I'm sorry, but tables are for paying customers. If you'd like to order something, you're welcome to choose any available seat." Flustered, the woman turned on her heel and left the cafe without another word. I couldn't help but chuckle. "Thanks, Mark." He winked. "No problem. Enjoy your coffee." The rest of my morning was peaceful, the incident serving as a reminder of the importance of standing one's ground and the value of supportive allies. The next morning felt different. I wasn't sure if it was the leftover tension from yesterday or just a weird gut feeling, but something felt off. I still went to the cafe, same time, same routine. I figured the woman had probably just been having a bad day. Maybe she'd forget about the whole thing. She didn't. I walked up to the Green Bean Mobile Cafe truck like I always do. Mark was at the window, already prepping my cappuccino before I even ordered it. We shared a quick laugh about Table Lady from yesterday. But as I turned to find a table, my usual spot still empty, I saw her. She was standing across the street. Just standing. Not ordering, not walking. Just watching. She had on the same suit, same tight bun. Her arms were crossed, and she had this look, cold and calculated. Like this was personal now. I didn't let it get to me. I sat down, pulled out my laptop, and got to work. But my hands weren't a steady. Every few minutes, I'd glance up and she was still there. Just watching. Around 9:10 a.m., she finally walked off. Later that week, things escalated. I got to the cafe a little earlier than usual, just to make sure I'd get my spot. I ordered my drink and settled in. But before I could even finish my first email, a cop car pulled up right next to the cafe truck. 2 officers stepped out, walked straight to me. "You mind standing up for a second, ma'am?" My heart dropped. I looked at Mark, who looked just as confused. "Is something wrong?" I asked. "We got a call. Someone reported a suspicious person loitering here with a laptop. Said you've been here several days in a row and making people uncomfortable." Mark immediately jumped in. "She's a regular. Works here all the time. Doesn't bother anyone." The officers looked at each other, clearly unsure. One of them asked, "Do you have ID?" I handed it over. They ran it, and of course, nothing came up. Clean record. I hadn't even gotten a parking ticket in years. They apologized and left, but I was rattled. Someone had called the police on me. And it didn't take a genius to figure out who. The next day, I switched up my routine. Got my coffee to go. Took a walk around the public garden instead. But part of me was angry. I wasn't going to let some random woman chase me away from a public cafe just because I sat at her table. So on Friday, I came back. Same spot. Same time. This time, I brought a small GoPro and clipped it to the edge of my laptop screen. Mark saw it and raised an eyebrow. I just nodded. He understood. She came again. Around the same time. Stood across the street, watching. But now I had evidence. Monday morning, the real chaos hit. I showed up to the cafe, but Mark wasn't there. Neither were the other regulars. In fact, the whole cafe truck wasn't parked where it always was. Instead, there were police barricades on the corner of the street. I walked closer, and a man in a city uniform told me the cafe truck had been vandalized the night before. Spray paint. Broken glass. Someone had thrown what looked like a rock through one of the small windows. And scrawled on the side, in bright red paint, were the words, "Get out of my spot." My stomach turned. I called Mark. He answered, sounding tired and frustrated. "It's bad. We've got to shut down for repairs. Might be a week or two." He paused, then said, "You think this has anything to do with her?" I didn't even have to answer. We both knew. This wasn't about coffee anymore. This woman had taken something personally, and now she was making it a mission. But if she thought I was going to back down quietly, she picked the wrong person. And I had a plan. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept replaying everything. The cold stare across the street. The fake police call. The vandalism. I even went through the GoPro footage again, frame by frame. I wanted to catch anything, maybe a license plate, maybe a face. But she never stepped close enough. Smart. Too smart. The cafe truck being out of commission shook my routine more than I expected. I missed the smell, the familiar voices, even the clatter of cups. And part of me felt guilty. Like this was my fault. Like I'd brought the chaos with me just by not moving from a seat. But then I remembered, I didn't do anything wrong. So I spent the next few days gathering everything. I compiled screenshots of social media posts from locals who had seen a well-dressed woman pacing near the truck and had shared concerns online. I pulled the clip from the GoPro where she stood for over 45 minutes across the street, staring. And I kept the incident report from the police when they were called on me for loitering. Mark gave me the cafe's security footage from the night of the vandalism. The camera wasn't the best quality, but there was one clear shot, a silver SUV pulling up late at night, lights off. Someone stepped out, fully covered in a hoodie and gloves. They moved like they'd done this before. That same silver SUV showed up on a different camera earlier that week. Parked across the street while she was standing there watching me. It wasn't proof, not hard enough for cops to act on. But it was enough for me to start digging. I spend a lot of time online. Reverse image searches, LinkedIn, local business registries. Eventually, I found her. Not hard. Once I remembered the name on the back of her phone case, it flashed once while she was waving it in Mark's face. Veronica Maddox. She was a regional manager for a consulting firm 2 blocks away from the cafe. Had been working there for over a decade. Super active on Facebook, but always in those look at my perfect life kind of ways. Fancy dinners. Designer bags. Group photos with smiling coworkers. But then I found something else, old community threads on a neighborhood forum from last year. Complaints. People talking about a woman who harassed dog walkers in the park, who yelled at kids for sitting on her bench, who even once screamed at a food truck owner for stealing her corner. Same description. Same SUV. So I posted, "Not revenge, not yet." I just laid out the facts anonymously. Anyone had a run-in with a woman who tried to claim the cafe spot as hers? I included time frames, a picture of the vandalized truck with Mark's permission, and stills from my GoPros showing her staring. Within hours, the replies exploded. Dozens of people chimed in. She called the cops on my 12-year-old for riding his scooter too close to her car. She tried to get my wife fired from her law firm. She said she stood too close in line at the salad bar. She keyed my husband's car. Took us months to prove it was her. It got so big someone shared it to Twitter. Then a local blog picked it up. The next morning, there was an email from a reporter asking to speak with me. But I waited, because something else happened that night. At 2:17 a.m., I got a call. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. The message was only 5 seconds long. It was her voice. "You'll wish you moved." No background noise. No breathing. Just those words. I saved the message. Forwarded it to the police, just in case. But I knew how this stuff went. No direct threat, no real action. They'd keep a report on file. Still, something had shifted. She wasn't just angry now. She felt exposed. The more people started connecting the dots, the more she would feel like the walls were closing in. I had no idea how right I was. The next day, I got another call, but not from a blocked number. It was from a woman named Danielle. She sounded nervous, like she was debating hanging up the whole time we talked. She used to work with Veronica. Quit 6 months ago. Said it was too much. That Veronica ran the office like a dictatorship. That she once threatened to destroy a temp who parked in her reserved space, even though it wasn't marked. Danielle had seen Veronica scream at delivery drivers, hide client emails, sabotage coworkers. And then she said this. She does this. She targets people. And once she starts, she doesn't stop. She's proud of it. She even brags sometimes. Says people deserve it for disrespecting her. I asked Danielle if she'd be willing to talk to the reporter. She hesitated. "I need to think about it," she said. "But if you need a witness." I saw her SUV outside the cafe that night. I recognized it from the security cam photo. It was definitely her. I hung up and just sat there for a while. The pieces were falling into place. And then I made the decision. This wasn't just about a table anymore. She messed with the wrong person. I met with the reporter the next day. We talked at a small bookstore cafe across town, far away from the Green Bean and its now boarded-up truck. I told her everything from the first encounter to the voicemail, the police visit, the vandalism, the community posts. I showed her the GoPro footage, the security cam stills, the call log. I even gave her Danielle's number. She promised to verify everything. Said it was exactly the kind of local madness that her editor loved. 3 days later, the article dropped. "The Table Tyrant of Clarendon Street," that was the title. They didn't name me, but they named her. It blew up. Hundreds of shares. People dug through her public social media and found even more examples of her bullying people in restaurants, cafes, libraries. Old coworkers added fuel, confirming stories about her temper, the sabotage, the screaming fits. Someone even uploaded a voicemail she left on a parking enforcement officer's phone, cursing him out for disrespecting her space. She went viral for all the wrong reasons. Then her company released a statement. "We are aware of the allegations involving one of our employees and are taking this matter seriously." The next day, she was fired. People started confronting her in public. A video surfaced of her at a grocery store. Some guy shouted, "Find your own cart," and the whole aisle laughed. She tried to argue, but no one listened anymore. She stormed out, red in the face, silent for once. The best part? The Green Bean Cafe reopened. Mark had painted over the vandalism, upgraded the truck, added extra cameras. First day back, there was a line down the block. People showed up just to support. Some wore t-shirts that said, This is my spot. Mark saved me a cappuccino. I paid double. But that wasn't the end. One morning, about 2 weeks after the article went live, I got a letter in my mailbox. No return address. Just a single sheet of paper inside. It said, "I hope it was worth it." No signature. But I knew it was her. And yeah, I had to ask myself, was it? Because here's the truth. I'd been petty too. I could have walked away after she stormed off the first day. Could have ignored her. Could have kept it private. But instead, I fueled the fire. I fed the public story. I helped turn her life upside down. Sure, she started it. She called the cops. She vandalized. She threatened. But I didn't stop at defending myself. I made sure everyone saw her fall. And something about that felt darker than I expected. I'd stare at that note sometimes. Think about how easily I became part of the madness. I was proud of standing my ground, but I wasn't proud of enjoying her downfall so much. That smug part of me, that part scared me a little. Mark said it best one afternoon while handing me my drink. You were right. But even when you're right, revenge changes you. It did. I don't sit at that same table anymore. Not because I'm afraid. I just don't need to. It's not about the spot. It never was.